discuss about why English succeeded against any other European power. What are the reasons? Of all the European nations who come as traders to India after new sea routes were discovered, England emerged as the most powerful and successful by the end of 18th century. Major factor which can be attributed for the success of English against the other European power, Portugal, Netherlands, France, Denmark, in the world in general, in India in particular, was as follows. Structure and nature of the trading companies. The English East India Company, formed through amalgamation of several rival companies at home, was controlled by a board of directors whose members were elected annually. The shareholder of the company exercised considerable influence as the votes could be bought and sold through purchase of shares. Trading companies of France and Portugal were largely owned by state and their nature was in many ways feudalistic. In the French company, the monarch led more than 60% share and its directors were nominated by the monarch from the shareholders who were supposed to carry out the decision of two high commissioners appointed by the government. The shareholders took very little interest in promoting the prosperity of the company because the state guaranteed a dividend to the shareholder. The lack of public interest could be inferred from the fact that between 1725 to 1765 there was no meeting of the shareholder and the company was simply managed by a department of the state. Naval superiority. The Royal Navy of Britain was not only the largest, it was the most advanced of its time. Victory against the Spanish Armada and against the French at Trafalgar had put the Royal Navy at the peak of the European naval forces. In India too, the British were able to defeat the Portuguese and French due to strong and fast movement of the naval ships. English learned from the Portuguese the importance of an efficient navy and improved their own fleet technologically. Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution started in England in the early 18th century with the invention of new machines like the spinny jenny, steam engine, power loom, several others. These machines greatly improved production in the field of textiles, metallurgy, steam power, agriculture. Industrial Revolution reached other European nations late and this helped England to maintain its hegemony. Military skill and discipline. The British soldiers were a disciplined lot and well trained. The British commanders were strategists who tried new tactics in warfare. Technological development equipped the military well. All this combined to enable smaller groups of English fighters defeat larger armies. Stable government. With the exception of the Glorious Revolution, with the exception of the Glorious Revolution of 1688, Britain witnessed stable government with efficient monarchy. Other European nations like France witnessed violent revolution in 1789 and afterwards the Napoleon Wars. Napoleon's defeat in 1815 significantly weakened France's position. From then on, it was forced to side with Britain. The Italians got united as a nation as late in 1861. The Dutch on Spain were also involved in the 80 Years' War in the 17th century, which weakened Portuguese imperialism. The Dutch East India Company effected the bankruptcy in 1800, coupled with the revolution in 1830. He was forced to sell its possessions to Britain and quit Asia. Lesser zeal for religion. Britain has less zealous about religion, less interested in spreading Christianity as compared to Spain. Portugal or the Dutch. Thus, this rule was far more acceptable to the subjects than that of other colonial powers. Use of debt market. One of the major and innovative reasons why British succeeded between the mid 18th century and the mid 19th century, while other Europeans fell, was that it used the debt market to fund its wars. Debt market. The world's first central bank, the Bank of England, established to sell government debts to the money markets on the promise of decent return on British defeating rival countries like France and Spain. Britain was thus unable to spend much more on its military than its rival. British rival France could not match the expenditure of the English between 1694 to 1812. First under the monarch, then under the revolutionary government, and finally under the Napoleon Bonaparte, France simply went bankrupt with its outdated way of raising money. So that's all about the reasons of why English successful in Indian soil as compared to other Europeans.